Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. Please join us today for the part 2 of Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 28, Lord Kapila's instructions on the execution of devotional service. And we'll continue on discussing how to overcome fear in the heart by Krishna Bhakti. कैसे हम भय से जो भी सब तरह की कुंठाएं एंग्जाइटी से उनको जी सकते हैं, उनको ओवरकम कर सकते हैं by taking to bhakti. And so please join us for Mangalacharan prayers. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udiryet. Shavatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shamana Kirtanaha Hridayantasto Bhadrani Vidhunoti Suhasatam Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatir Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavti Nashtiki. Hare Krishna. So we'll quickly recap कि part 1 में हमने क्या discuss किया. We discussed as Lord Kapila, he is giving instructions to his mother Devahuti. And who is Lord Kapila? He is none other than the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? An incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. And so his mother Devahuti, she was very anxious what will happen to her, right? What is the purpose of this life? Atato Brahma Jigyasa, she had that. And she was feeling fearful in her heart, anxious. Because even though she was daughter of the administrator of this universe, Swayambhuva Manu ki beti thi, उसके बाद में भी she was fearful कि what will happen after this life, right? So we living entities, we are eternal living entities, and the body is, it takes birth and it dies, and that's why we feel the birth and death as very unnatural event. And for the spirit soul, these things are not there, but for the body, these four kind of kunthas are there: janm, mrityu, jara, vyadhi, dukh, doshanu, darshanam. So people, they again and again see these four kind of, kunthas or anxieties caused by birth. At the time of birth, baby goes through extreme pain. And similarly, the mother, Jacha, right? Sometimes it says, and Bacha is the baby. They both have to go through, endure extreme painful journey at the birth time. And then comes death. And we all know how fearful, how anxiety causing is. Hare Krishna. And Jara, right? Old age, all kind of inabilities come in. People can't see, the eyes go dull, hearing becomes hard. People not able to breathe properly. They don't have fit bodies to be able to do the activities that they were doing. And Vyadhi, we all know in this pandemic times how the Corona is spreading all over the world. And people are understanding the influence. हरे कृष्णा. मोहिनी एकादशी की जय. आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है. हरे कृष्णा. So here we also talked about, in the part 1, about the austerity of mind, body and speech, and how we should, by taking to Krishna consciousness, can easily overcome fear. Please join us for Guru Pranati. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yat kripa tadaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. हरे कृष्णा डिवोटीज, आप सबका स्वागत है, आप सबका अभिनंदन है. देवी, could we please welcome? हरे कृष्णा.
हरे कृष्णा डियर व्यूअर्स, हरि बोल. सभी का बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. आज की श्रीमद् भागवतम क्लास में जीव तत्व प्रभु जी हमारे साथ शेयर कर रहे हैं पार्ट 2 ऑफ हाउ टू ओवरकम द फियर इन द हार्ट. हमारे हृदय में काफ़ी अनर्थ होते हैं ड्यू टू अवर पास्ट लाइव्स, मिलियंस ऑफ लाइव्स. तो स्पेसिफिकली आजकल जिस तरह से लोगों में बहुत एंग्जाइटी है, फियर है, और हमें ओवरकम करना है, हमें बनना है स्ट्रॉन्गर, हमें प्लीज़ करना है भगवान को, और हमें टेक केयर करना है सभी लव्ड वंस का. तो इसके लिए हम डेवलप करेंगे ऑल दैट इनर स्ट्रेंथ इन दिस स्पिरिचुअल लाइफ. ये जो पार्ट 2 दे रहे हैं प्रभु जी, इसके जो लेसन्स हैं ये आज बेस्ड हैं फ्रॉम श्रीमद् भागवतम कैंटो 3 चैप्टर 28. आप में से जिन्होंने हमें आज ज्वाइन किया है सबका बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. गीता जी, अंशुमन चटर्जी जी, सुजाता जी, चक डेंटन, हरे कृष्णा, इंडिका रोजा, अरजीत बनर्जी, अभिजीत, विकास सिंह, पवन, राम दुलारी, युवराज सिंह, प्रकाश सुनार, रणधीर, नवीन, बैसाखी जी, वेलकम, रूपांकर दास, मेघा जी, कृष्ण जी, संतोष जी, शांता जी, और बहुत सारे व्यूअर्स. आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है. आइए, ये जो शॉर्ट आधे घंटे की क्लास है जो कि 45 मिनट्स तक जा सकती है डिपेंडिंग ऑन what different examples Prabhuji will share with us. So, Prabhuji, please go ahead with the class. Prabhuji, can I put on the microphone?
Yes,
And मैं अभी share कर दूंगी सबके लिए ये chapter की link so that people can follow this chapter. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So, this chapter, Kapil Dev, he starts, and in the purpose, Srila Prabhupada identifies that Lord Kapil Dev, he is describing what Sankhya Yoga. And so, in the teachings of Kapil Dev, Lord Kapila, in that book, Srila Prabhupada made it a point that the son of Devahuti. So the disciples were saying, why do we have to say the son of Devahuti? Srila Prabhupada identified that after Lord Kapila, there was another person by the name Kapil, who also described Sankhya Yoga, but he described it incorrectly. And people were bewildered, and they took to that Sankhya Yoga being described with this imposter. So again, that word has been used. So as another person. So that's why it is very important for us to identify who this Lord Kapila we are talking about. This Lord Kapila is an incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna, and he appeared as son of Devahuti and Kardama Muni. Now, Srila Prabhupada in the purport very nicely described that Lord Kapila is talking about the Ashtanga Yoga system. And we know from chapter 6, right? Ashtanga Yoga system in Bhagavad Gita in chapter 6 also has been described very nicely by Lord Krishna. Now, Ashtanga Yoga system is a great yoga system. Yoga means connection with God. But the practice of Ashtanga Yoga is not suitable for this age. So what was the age? So time, place and circumstances, these three items are very important, right? So we need to understand what is the time when you can do Ashtanga Yoga. In Satya Yuga, when people could perform great austerities, they could do Ashtanga Yoga very successfully. So again, and then, we talk about the 4 legs of religion: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. So in Satya Yuga, people could live for hundreds of thousands of years. The human beings could live that long. And everyone who was born was actually, could come to easily to the state of Hamsa, and then further advance to Paramhamsa stage. Hamsa also means swan, yes. And what is the characteristic of swan? If you present to swan a mix of water and milk, पानी में अगर आप दूध मिला के स्वान को देंगे तो उसमें से वो दूध पी सकता है, पानी छोड़ देगा. Now this is amazing quality. How can swan distinguish कि milk कौन सा पोषण है और पानी कौन सा पोषण? It only takes away the milk and leave the water behind. So that is the characteristic of a Hamsa, as a person who could, in this material world, he can seek spirituality and, take the spiritual aspects in while leaving the material aspects out, right? Because material aspects are the ones that cause anxiety, fearfulness, and and we all want to overcome fear. And this fear is in the heart, is comes with love, with bhakti. So the Hamsa is a person who could do that. So they would take to this austerity, they could perform great austerities, and they would meditate for tens of thousands of years. Like Prachitas, they meditated for 10,000 years and they attained perfection. They were able to see the Lordship and get his blessing. While at the same time we see Vishwamitra, who was, again, he is a Brahma Rishi. Why am I saying he is? Because he is still living. So again, they could live for such a long time with their yogic strength that they could span the various, Chatur Yugas. So he, even after performing 60,000 years as a yogi, Menaka made him, divert from his path. So he could not be able, he was not able to complete his meditation. The result was not achieved because he was distracted. So even after 60,000 years of yoga practice, one can fall down. So there is a danger. So you have to perform that very strongly in a very specific disciplined manner. But at this age, our age is limited to 100 years max. So again, we cannot perform. So this current age, it is very difficult to perform Ashtanga Yoga system. An Ashtanga Yoga system, when you talk about Ashtanga, 8 limbs of this yoga system. Now, what are the 8 limbs of this yoga system? People always want to know, right? Knowledge is always good. So the first one is Yam. Yam is things that are, prohibitions, like these things should be avoided. Well, we have an equivalent thing in our Krishna consciousness, which is mapping with this Yam. Yam refers to things that should not be done. So, no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So, these are Yam. Now, there is Niyam, right? Regulative principles. So, what are the regulative principles? So, again, in Ashtanga Yoga, they have regulative principles that you have to do these. This is how your day should look like, how you break it down in routine. For us, Acharyas made it very simple. Srila Prabhupada said, minimum 16 rounds every day, and on special days like Ekadashi, Janmashtami, Ram Navami, Nasima Chaturthi, and great festivals, the appearance days of the Acharyas and of the Lordship, and their disappearance day, of course, of the Acharyas as well. We should chant minimum 25 rounds and observe fast, so which is very nice because this actually helps us situate properly in our Krishna consciousness. We become more devoted and our heart becomes that soft butter that the butter thief would like to come and steal, right? So we want to churn our heart through the meditation with the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, and churn it into that sweet butter that the butter thief would come and steal it away. So we are all making that endeavor. We are all seeking to attract the all attractive, right? Everyone is all attracted to Lord Shri Krishna, but we want to attract. So that's why with love, like a cry of a child, we are calling out, oh my dear Lord Krishna, oh Mother Radha, oh my dear Lord Ram, please engage me in your loving devotional service. So again, we talked about Yam and Niyam. So 4 regulative principles: no meat eating, no intoxication, no illicit sex, no gambling. So when meat eating means, again, this is because being merciful to other living entities, understanding that there are various 8.4 million kinds of living entities. These are the categories. Sometimes people say, oh, the population is much before, because in each category there are many instances, right? So again, we are looking, and of them 4 lakh are just the human beings. 4 lakh kinds of human beings, and for each kind there may be many of human beings of each of those 4 lakh kinds. So that's how we understand how even human society is so distributed, and they are influenced of, just like all other living entities, by the 3 modes of material nature, because this is body. So it's relating to the body. So the body of a human being has higher consciousness. So again, some things are very common across all kind of living entities. Eat, sleep, mate, defend. So again, even a cat and dog, they eat, they sleep, they seek some kind of recreation, and then they're always looking at their security. That's why they have the teeth and claws to kind of protect themselves. And sometimes they're in a group, like a herd or, packs, like wolves. They hunt in a pack. That way they protect themselves and they meet the basic needs. Similarly, human beings, doesn't matter whether he is at brahmacharya or he is at sannyas, they also have basic needs, right? They also need to eat something to sustain the body. They also need to sleep to recharge the body. They also need to have some level of security. And, again, this is where we devotees seek security at the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna and constantly performing our duties. So again, it's an active engagement. Srila Prabhupada didn't say bhakti means devotion. No. He said bhakti means devotional service. It is an active engagement. We are constantly endeavoring in, serving, pleasing Lord Shri Krishna, because that is our nature. Jivera surupaya Krishnera nityadas. We are eternal servant of Lord Shri Krishna. And a servant is only servant when he is engaged in service. So, a service to please the Master, and especially when it comes to pleasing the Master, who is the Supreme Master, Lord Shri Krishna, it is devotional service. So, it is performed with love, with, gratitude, with attention, with attraction, with absorptions. So, again, we are looking to please Lord Shri Krishna by our service. And this service can be performed in the 9 process of devotional service that Prahlad Maharaj describes. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atma Nivedanam. The 9 process of devotional service. And then in the 11th canto, Shukadeva Goswami adds reading and writing. So, why would somebody want to engage in devotional service? Sometimes people ask, I don't want to be servant, I want to be master. Well, interestingly, when people are trying to be master in this material world, they have constant fear, the constant need for security, the constant need what will they eat, when will they eat, the constant need if they will be able to sleep, because in anxiety you can't sleep, right? You have sleepless nights. And security means always fearful, somebody is going to encroach on us. So this particular feeling is there. So it reminds me of a very nice, very short story. So what happened is there were 2 friends. Right from childhood, they grew together in the same neighborhood. One was named Ramnath, another was named Premnath. So Ramnath and Premnath were very dear friends from the childhood, and they were so close to each other. But yes, he was from a family with connections, so he became very rich. Premnath was very carefree kind. He was constantly engaged in devotional service, so he stayed poor, but he was satisfied. And Ramnath would see at Premnath and he say, Premnath is completely carefree. He has no cares about his future. He doesn't care about what's happening. He lives in a hut, right? And I'm such a rich man. And he sleeps so nicely and he's completely smiling, and I'm almost morose, thinking of so many responsibilities I have. Maybe I should give him some responsibility, some feeling that he should also become the need for security, for taking care of things. What happens is, now it could be said that Ramnath was feeling that I am having so many worries while I am rich, and he is completely worry-free while he is poor. So what he does is, he gives him a treasure chest. Ramnath says, Premnath, I love you very much, and as a friend, I would like to offer you this treasure chest filled with treasures, gold and silver coins, and also some jewels for you to have. So Premnath, he says, my friend is giving me something, okay, I will accept it. He accepts it. Now he takes it to his hut, and then at night when he keeps it, he is like thinking, well, I have a hut made up of mud and grass and bamboo sticks and literally shades, and these are very easy to be broken into. So a thief can come at night, break the wall and take away all this treasure. So he could not sleep all night, and so he realized that I suddenly lost all my sleep, all my freedom, because I took this chest. So next day he picks it up and he says, my dear friend, I understand, आप मेरे बहुत ही प्रिय मित्र हो, लेकिन I would like to return this gift back to you, because when I received this gift, I lost the greater gifts that I had, which was peace of mind, fearlessness, no anxiety, Vaikuntha. So I was in a Vaikuntha state. This treasure actually gave me in Kuntha state. So by saying this, he returns it to Ramnath, and Ramnath smiles. He said, yes, I was fearing that you will come back and return it to me, because I see that you are already so carefree, you are already so fearless when you are meditating on the Lordship and simply sustaining yourself with whatever facilities that come by your duties, right? Prescribed duties. So we all have to perform prescribed duties. We all have to do some kind of labor, and because that is our nature. Now, why would somebody want to be a servant? Again, from this example, we learn that Premnath, he was carefree and careless. There is a gulf of difference between the two. Careless means the person who does not care and he lets bad things happen. But a carefree person is, he cares for the important things in life, which is devotional service, and is carefree with respect to this material world, and only doing endeavor to sustain himself by keeping himself healthy, by doing everything nicely. So Yam Niyam help us attain that. So it is very important that those are essential pieces. Then comes, asana. In Ashtanga Yoga, the third limb is asana. So again, Yam Niyam or asana, then comes pranayam, then comes pratyahara, then comes dharana, then dhyan, and then samadhi. So these are the 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. And we understand that Ashtanga Yoga is very difficult to perform. Rather easy is to perform the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And to be able to perform, devotional service, we still have some prohibitions, some inhibitions, some regulations. So we follow the injunctions of the Shastras, Acharyas and the Sadhus to, advance in our spiritual journey. So again, we do this with love. And now, why would somebody want to be the servant? Well, there is a great boon in being a servant. Now you would say, what is the great boon in being a servant? So we sometimes see a rich man, right? He has servants. So those servants are serving the rich man. Yet at the same time, the rich man, when he leaves the home to go to work, to carry out his business, those servants are enjoying exactly the same facility that the rich man is enjoying. And actually they are enjoying more than the rich man. While in the morning, what happens is they make sure that all the breakfast is ready, all the things are nicely arranged, so that when the rich man and his family members, they get up, they wake up at the time, they are nicely served, proper arrangement to take bath, get clean, get ready for the office and schools and so forth. And then they have breakfast, and after they have had breakfast, the servants make sure that they are able to go to their schools, their workplace, nicely. And then what do the servants eat? They eat exactly what the master was eating. So they get to enjoy delicious prasadam, right? So when the devotees, they are serving the Lordship Krishna, they get to accept the remnants of that prasad, which is nourishing to the spirit, to us, to the living entity, as well as nourishing to the body, because it is in the mode of goodness. So this is the way we can rejuvenate every time when we eat. It is giving, it is feeding the soul, it is energizing the soul. On top of that, what do servants do? Now all day they are at home taking care of facilities, but all facilities are for entertainment are also available to them. So they know that the master is at work, so they enjoy the same great facilities. So Lord Krishna is just like that. He is ready to share all his, kingdom, all his with his devotees. So those devotees, they live just like in Dwarka. Every Dwarka Vasi, right? He's living in a palace, and he is having the same facilities that are there to serve Lord Shri Krishna. So the facilities are automatically being utilized by the servants. So the servant is always in a very carefree state, and he is not greedy, he is not lusty, he is not thinking what would happen if these facilities go away, because his focus is to please Lord Shri Krishna. Whatever Lord Krishna will provide, I will accept. So he gets the best of the facilities. And now, just like a materialistic condition, when the master returns, the boss returns back home, they make sure that they have proper dinner, the proper arrangement, and so forth, and then they go to sleep, while the servants, they also enjoy the same facilities. So just like in a rich, state, in like if your master is very rich, if you're serving the master, then you get to enjoy all the facilities. So even a peon of a president or prime minister gets great, respect, even from common men. While a peon of a simple person, middle class or even lower class person, does not get much respect. So even that is the difference. So are you serving someone who's a big person in this material world, but is not at all, having any spiritual knowledge or spiritual aspirations, or are you serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the Lord of all Lords, right? That makes a big difference. Bhoktaram yagatapasam sarvalok maheshwaram surhidam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim richati. The 5.29 verse, chapter 529, the last verse in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna is saying that Bhoktaram yagatapasam. So he is the beneficiary of all sacrifices. We all make sacrifices to one level or another. Sometimes people make sacrifices to their families. Some make sacrifices for their, region, their state. Some make sacrifices for their nation. Some, make sacrifices for different isms, like socialism, altruism, and so many other projects they start. But the best sacrifice is the one that is performed in serving Lord Shri Krishna, because he is the beneficiary of all sacrifices. He says that those who worship the demigods, who perform sacrifices to please the demigods, are actually alpa buddhi, right? They have less intelligence, and they are worshipping me indirectly. They are worshipping those who worship me, right? So this also reminds me of a very interesting scenario. I was at work, and so when I'm working at that time, my boss, he comes and he tells that, hey, you are a vegetarian. I said, yes. And he says, well, I eat those who eat vegetables. So he's telling me that he's a non-vegetarian indirectly. My response was, please don't eat me. And we all laughed and moved ahead. This is sometimes Lord Krishna inspires us to give responses that we can alleviate a controversial situation completely. Right? So when you want to, when you are in a fight, you have been called in a fight by someone who may be more powerful, but when we have taken shelter of the supreme power, right, Lord Shri Krishna, what can be fearful? So we can laugh about it, and we can completely ignore the fight, and the fight is over. So very simple. Why get into fight when there is no reason to fight, right? So again, and we had a very wonderful relationship from this point onward. Otherwise, he was really, the way he came out was very strong. So it was interesting. So again, devotees, we are serving the Supreme Lord. And he is Sarvalok Maheshwaram. He is the supreme proprietor of all material universes and spiritual universes. So he is the, proprietor of all that being. Right? So when we serve one who is the proprietor of everything, who owns everything, right, then automatically everything becomes easily available to us by Lord's mercy. And Surhidam Sarvabhutanam. Lord Krishna says to Arjuna that I am the best friend, I am the well-wisher, I am the benefactor of every living entity. Sarvabhutanam. Every living entity is moving, non-moving. Moving are the ones, they can move just like humans, animals, aquatics. And those who can't move are like mountains, hills, trees, plants. All these are achara, right? Non-moving. So he is the best friend, well-wisher. He is the benefactor of all living entities, not just of human beings, but all living entities. And not just of, ones who are living in India, or ones who are living in Africa, or ones who are living in America. No, all, not just of this planet Earth, but all other planets, right? So we have to understand with the right perspective. And Gyatva mam shantim richi. Who knows me in this manner attains peace. So when we are peaceful state, we are carefree. Simple. We are not careless, we are carefree. We take great care in serving the Lordship. We take great care in performing our devotional service. We are very mindful of our surroundings. Yet at the same time, we do not care about the various kind of happenings, right? Which is Janmittu Jara Vyadhi. We are not affected when it comes to us. Yes, because of our loving affection to other living entities and having spent time with them, we feel at times when we lose the company of other, living soul in our life. And that does cause some level of anxiety. But then devotees, when they are in anxiety, what do? They take to the shelter of Lord Shri Krishna. They take to praying. They take to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So from all respects, from all conditions, when a devotee becomes anxious, right, and is distracted, Lord Krishna tells Arjun to declare. He is not declaring himself, he is saying, Arjun, declare it boldly. Kaunteya prati janihi name bhakta prayashati. So declare it boldly that my devotee shall never perish. So he is saying that even when devotee gets diverted, gets in trouble at that particular time, and trouble comes in different phases, right? Janmriti, Jara, Vyadhi are 4 of those varieties. And also being attracted by Maya. Even Vishwamitra, great saintly person, and Ashtanga Yogi got attracted by Maya in the form of Menaka. So in the form of opposite sex, Maya can lure us. Yet at the same time, a devotee establishes back into his position or her position by taking to Krishna consciousness. And that way, one can immediately continue the journey. Yes, body may perish, but the soul continues its spiritual journey. That is an important aspect that we should understand. And we talked about, how in Ashtanga Yoga, we are, while it is a very difficult process, we take to a simpler process, which is Krishna consciousness, engaging in bhakti. Bhakti में लीन होते हुए हम अपने आध्यात्मिक जीवन को विस्तार कर सकते हैं. We can continue to progress further in this life itself, and we can spiritualize our life. So, Srila Prabhupada, he very nicely describes that of the 3 modes, mode of passion, mode of goodness, mode of ignorance. So, Sattva Guna is mode of goodness. And who's the personality, personified as mode of goodness? Lord Vishnu, his personified, Vishuddha Sattva. So again, pure goodness. He is transcendental, but he is taking care of maintenance, because maintenance requires mode of goodness. Then, in mode of passion, Lord Brahma is creating. So creativity is in the mode of passion. There is a lot of zeal in the mode of passion. So creation happens. And destruction is in the mode of ignorance. Lord Shiva, his activity is to, open his third eye and destroy the whole universe, all the planets in the universe except the Satyalok, which is Lord Brahma's place. So that happens because Lord Shiva is engaged. So his activities are in the mode of ignorance, but he is always in the mode of pure goodness. So Lord Shiva is Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu. He is the topmost Vaishnava. And of course, his consort Parvati is also known when she takes the Shatrani form with the Trishul and Talwar and Khadag, all the armor, all the Astra and Shastra in her hands. She takes the form of Goddess Durga. And Goddess Durga is glorified as Vaishnava Devi. Vaishnava Devi means a she devotee of Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. So again, she is also a devotee, and she loves to hear from Lord Shiva about the name, form, activities, pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And that is the meditation that has been described in this chapter. So we, in this age, the process has been made very, very simple. And here, Lord Krishna, means again, Lord Kapil is describing how a devotee meditates on the form of the Lord in the heart, as how he is appearing at the lotus of the heart of a devotee. Yes, we see the yogi sitting here in Muktasana, right? So yes, an Ashtanga yogi would sit in Muktasana to be able to situate and open all the chakras. I will quick test on the chakras a little bit. If people are interested, they can let us know, and then we can do an extensive class on how to do the chakras.
They can mention in comments.
Yes, you can mention in the comments if you want to know how to focus on chakras. There are 114 chakras in the body. Of them, 7 chakras are main. And we can talk about those chakras. I'll just give you a brief insight into those chakras if you want to know. So how to meditate on this beautiful form of the Lord? So Lord Kapil is saying that one should meditate, right? Remember, man mana bhavamad bhakto. So again, to be able to constantly think, we have to glorify the Lord and his devotees. And Lord Kapil Dev is very nicely telling his mother, describing how one should meditate on the lotus feet of the Lord who is appearing in the lotus of the heart. So he is in the lotus of our heart, and his feet, his toes, how should we meditate? That his toes were washed by the waters, and that those waters are glorified as Ganga, right? River Ganges. And when river Ganges was requested by Bhagirath, so that's why her another name is Bhagirathi, to come to this planet Earth so that the 60,000 sons of Sagara, King Sagara, they can be delivered because they were burned. And who did they offend? They offended Lord Kapila. So it's a complete loop. So Lord Kapila is describing meditating on the toes, and these toes, the nails are just like the gems. So they're glowing. The feet of the Lordship being washed, Ganges gets this quality to purify all living entities of the sins that they have performed if they take bath in Ganges. And when Ganges comes down, she says, I will come with so much force that I will pierce through the earth. So my weight needs to be sustained by someone. So Bhagirath says, I know a personality. Who is he thinking? Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. So when Lord Krishna's, his feet have been washed by the waters and waters became Ganges, then who would take those Ganges on the head, right? So when you meet a saintly person or you meet the Lordship, so again, if you do meet, you take the waters that wash their feet on your head, right? For our purification. So Lord Shambhu would be very happy. So he, prays to Lord Shambhu, and Lord Shiva, he appears and he says, yes, I will take Ganges. So did Lord Shiva keep Ganges in his pockets or on his shoulder or in his arms? Where does he keep Ganges? Please share in the comment. He keeps Ganges on his head, safely securing her through his jatais, his matted locks, the hair matted locks. And so that's the first reference. Then comes the next reference, that one should meditate on the legs and thighs of the Lordship, because Goddess Lakshmi, she is constantly serving the Lord with lot of care. So she is known, again, Pada Sevanam, just by, serving the feet of the Lordship, serving the legs, pressing his legs. And that's how we see that Lord Vishnu is resting on Sheshanag with his eyes half open, and Goddess Lakshmi is pressing his feet. So everyone is worshipping Goddess Lakshmi because she is Goddess of Fortune. Yet at the same time, she herself is engaged in whose service? Lordship. Yes, she is constantly serving Lord. And again, Lord Vishnu is Vishnu Tattva, Lord Krishna. So his expansions and swamshas are all Vishnu Tattva, so they are non-different. But their pastimes are different. They perform different kind of activities. And all these activities are dovetailed to benefit others. Because as a father, he is always looking to please his sons. So this is also very important for us to understand, that as a devotee, we should constantly be engaging in benefit of others. We should be bringing them closer to Lord Shri Krishna. So that is the best service for a devotee, is to preach about Krishna consciousness so that others take to devotional service. And when others take to devotional service, a Sangha develops, right? And this was the purpose why Srila Prabhupada established International Society for Krishna Consciousness, right? So that devotees can have 6 loving exchanges. And by having loving exchanges, we can all be together, working together to please Lord Shri Krishna. So while Lord, he can be everywhere at the same time. I can be here, you can be there. But as devotees, we can be everywhere serving Lord Shri Krishna. Very simple. So having a Sangha enables us to have loving exchanges. So when we are engaging in devotional service, Lord Krishna reveals that, of course, we are talking about the yogis, right? We are talking about the Ashtanga yogis. And then at the end of chapter 6, where Ashtanga yoga has been described, Lord Krishna is revealing who is the topmost yogi. Okay? Yogi nam api sarvesham madgatena atmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. So, of all the yogis, the topmost yogi is one who is bhajate yo mam, who is constantly engaging in my devotional service. Bhaj is much greater than worship. Yes, sometimes it's identified as worship, which can be performed in various ways, but bhaj more closely relates to devotional service, the various processes in devotional service, and worship is one of the processes of devotional service. And focus of engaging in devotional services so that we are constantly in remembrance. With remembrance, it reminds me that Nrsimhadev Chaturthi is on Tuesday, so that is coming. And Prahlad Maharaj, he attains perfection just by remembering the Lordship. So again, I believe it is 25th in Western world. Again, it could be 26th in the eastern part of the world. Chaturdashi. Oh, Chaturdashi, yes. Nrsimhadev Chaturdashi. So that is coming. So again, we understand from that perspective that by engaging, so in Prahlad Maharaj, he teaches by his example, by constantly remembering, he was completely carefree. Even though his father, Hiranyakashipu, and of course, Hiranyakashipu was cursed, so that's why he means again, Jai Vijay, when they were cursed, they took birth. So as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. So Hiranyakashipu, when he saw his son Prahlad, he was in fearful state because 2 strikes had already happened, the 3rd strike was about to happen. When Lord Nrsimhadev appears at that time, जब क्या होता है, पहली बात जब प्रहलाद महाराज बहुत छोटे थे, तो जब छोटे बच्चे को पिता अपनी गोद में लेता है तो सोचता है कि इसने क्या सीखा हो, जब कुछ भी जो भी सिखाओ सिखा दे, बताओ, why don't you tell me whatever you remember. स्कूल में जब जाते हैं बच्चे स्टार्टिंग में, parents don't expect much. Whatever little they can say, they are glorified, they are encouraged. So he says, whatever you have learned. And what does Prahlad Maharaj says? He says, O son, O king of the demons, Daityaraj, बली अपने फादर को, my dear father के बजाय बोल रहे हैं, you are the king of the demons, and you should understand that one should, take to devotional service, because if one is not able to control their mind, then it is a very fearful state and they should leave the home and go to the jungle. Now this is a similar response he gives the second time also. First time Hiranyakashipu ignores, saying that, oh, this is just a boy, he must have just heard this thing, he's just saying what he has heard. But second time when Prahlad Maharaj says the same thing, on similar grounds, preaching to his father that he should take to devotional service, he becomes angry. He says that this boy is spoiled. This boy is a devotee of my enemy. Well, so, Suhridam Sarva Bhutanam, Lord Krishna is saying. So he is the best friend of every living entity. But yes, when Lord and the devotees may think that all are friends of they are friends of all living entities, individuals may feel and have animosity, feeling of animosity towards the devotees and even the Lordship, what to talk about. So Hiranyakashipu had those feelings. That's why he is called a demon, because he had pratikul, right? He had unfavorable, demeanor, unfavorable attitude towards his son Prahlad, because his son Prahlad was a devotee of Lord Vishnu. So he immediately asked his soldiers to kill Prahlad, and they tried various ways. They could not kill because Prahlad was constantly remembering the Lordship, and so he was completely carefree. So now Hiranyakashipu becomes very fearful. He calls Prahlad. He says, okay, these people cannot kill him because, they don't have the potency, they don't have the strength to kill him. But I am all powerful, I will take care of this. So, sometimes people say, when you want to get something done, do it yourself. So this is what he is thinking. As a person, he's thinking that I am the most powerful, I am the administrator of the universe, I have defeated even Indra. All these demigods are serving me as a menial servants, and this boy, just 7-year-old boy, how is he not able to follow my instructions? So at that time he calls Prahlad Maharaj and he says, where do you get all this strength? How can you be so carefree, right? So how can you be so fearless? No worries, how could you be in this state? So Prahlad Maharaj says, my source of strength or energy is the same as your source. We are all deriving source from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All the energies, all the potencies are coming from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Lord Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Aham bij pradah pita. I am the seed-giving father. So everything is coming from the Supreme Lord. But Hiranyakashipu, he becomes angry. So with anger, he strikes with his fist onto the pillar and he picks up the sword to kill Prahlad. And at that time, suddenly there is a tumultuous sound and the pillar bursts open and Lord Nrsimhadev appears and he kills Hiranyakashipu. But when it is asked, whom did the Lord save? Right? Was it Prahlad Maharaj he saved? Or was it Hiranyakashipu he saved? Well, if Hiranyakashipu had even touched with his sword Prahlad Maharaj, there was no hope for him. So it is Hiranyakashipu who was saved by the Lordship. Prahlad Maharaj, when he said that Lord is present everywhere, and Hiranyakashipu asked, is he present in the pillar? Prahlad Maharaj said, yes. And to prove that his devotee is saying yes, Lord appeared from the pillar as Lord Nrsimhadev. So again, there are amazing glories of Lord Nrsimhadev. And it is only not just once that Lord Nrsimhadev appeared and killed Hiranyakashipu. In different Chaturayugas, different cycles of Chaturayugas, Lord has appeared and also appeared in different forms, different colors. Once again, the form is Nrsimhadev, but different colors. So that's how the form changed. And he killed Hiranyakashipu in different situations, but that's for another time. So here, a devotee is carefree when engaged in devotional service. So in the mode of goodness, Srila Prabhupada says, one can derive maximum benefit. And what are the activities of one who is in the mode of goodness? Shamodamo tamastapa shacham shati majavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astinkyam brahma karma swabhavajam. Shamo. So again, one is very peaceful. Again, also sometimes referred to as tolerance. Again, damash, tapa shacham. So self-control, austerity. Tapa is austerity. Shacham is purity, cleanliness. And then Shantir. Shantir in this case is tolerance. And arjavam evacha. So honesty. And then jnanam vijnanam, knowledge. And when you apply that knowledge, you get realization. So jnana, vijnana, knowledge and realization or wisdom. And then astikyam, which is religiousness. These are the natural qualities by which the Brahmanas work, and Brahmanas in the mode of goodness. So we should understand with the proper perspective that how we should be constantly engaging in devotional service with care, with love, with devotion, seeking to please the Lordship. And so in this way, when we are engaged in serving the Lordship, we rise above the three modes of material nature. And anxiety, fearless, all kind of miseries, they are in the material world. They don't exist in the transcendental world. So when we are above, when we have transcended the three modes of material world or material modes, then we don't feel any of those. So we become not just fearless, we become prasannatma, brahma bhuta prasannatma, na shochati na kankshati, samah sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti labhate param. So again, one is constantly engaged in devotional service of the Lordship in Brahma Bhuta stage. So people are always curious, like at Brahma Bhuta stage, we are in constant bliss. And sometimes people refer to the chakras, how do we open the chakras so that we can reach to the level of bliss. And as is given in this picture, actually there is another picture also that the yogi can transfer in Bhagavad Gita to different planetary systems. So here the yogi is sitting in Muktasana, right? And the whole spine is in straight line. So in this case, there are 7 chakras that are in the body that are open to allow us.
Share which canto is this, which book is this?
So this is 3rd canto. Yeah, this is the 3rd canto, chapter 28. And this is what Kapila Dev is describing in this chapter.
Pictures are there.
The pictures are also in the 3rd canto, part 2 book. Yes. And so, here comes the description. So again, now it is very easy if you just remember earth, water, fire, air, ether. Why did I do this? Because solid, earth, water, right? When somebody raises this finger, they want to go for a leak because it represents water. Then fire, when somebody gets angry, this finger rises, fire. And then earth, air. Air is, the ring finger refers to air. And then ether is the largest, and the largest finger represents ether. So again, those 5 elements are normally represented in this way. Now in the chakras also they are represented. So the first one is the Muladhara chakra, which is at the bottom of the spine. So at the bottom of the spine is the Muladhara chakra. Now Muladhara also is referred to as root chakra, and it is the basis of existence. And Mula means root and Adhar is basis, right? So the basis of existence. तो वो like जड़ होती है ना, कंट्रोल करके रखती है पेड़ को, इसी तरह से मूलाधार चक्र पे सब्सटेन करते हैं हम लोग, राइट? और उसका एलिमेंट क्या है? यू गेस्ड इट राइट, अर्थ. सो इसका जो लोकेशन है इज एट द बेस ऑफ स्पाइन. एंड व्हाट आर द क्वालिटीज वी गेट व्हेन आवर मूलाधार चक्र इज ओपन, इज फुल्ली फ्लोइंग, राइट? द एनर्जी इज फुल्ली फ्लोइंग थ्रू द चक्रास. It is enthusiasm, inertia, it is great zeal, great endeavors we can take on because we are very well situated, we are very steady. It shows our solid states, right, how well we are established. Then comes the next chakra, little above that, just below the navel is the sacral chakra. And it is also referred to as Swadhisthana. Swadhisthana chakra means where you are established. Swa refers to self, Adhisthana is established. So it helps us establish. So with respect to establish, it is right behind the genitals, below the navel. And what is the element? Yes, you got it right. First one was earth, so this one must be water. That's what it is. So this refers to water. And water has the characteristic of creativity. So yes, people who have these chakras, they are very creative minded and they look for procreation, which is having progeny, and also recreation. So sometimes when it's towards the material modes, driven in this material world with the conditioning in this body, it becomes lusty and greedy desires. They arise because of this. So again, each of the chakras, when the energy is flowing, you can think of it like you have a bank balance. Now you have a bank balance. Now this bank balance can be used in devotional service or in conditional state. In conditional state will cause the fall down, while in devotional service you will elevate, you will rise above, right? So this rising above of chakra is flow of energy. But having that bank balance, engaging that bank balance and how you act it out is very important. You can use, have all the chakras open, but you use in conditional state, you will fall down to animal propensities and you will have animal life in the next one. But if you engage in devotional service, you will have spiritual life, right? So that's the benefit. So we want to have such good bank balances through our chakras, energy flowing, in engaging all our senses, mind, body and senses in pleasing Lord Shri Krishna, mind, body and speech. All actions dovetailed in pleasing Lord Shri Krishna. Then comes Manipura chakra. Manipura chakra is where our stomach is, right? And you can imagine at Manipura chakra's Lord, he is saying that he is the fire in the stomach in Bhagavad Gita. So his stomach, it digests all kind of food stuff because of the fire. So yes, what is the element on Manipura? And Mani refers to jewels, right? Pura refers to city. It is a city of jewels. And here in Manipura chakra, again on the point where there is stomach, various qualities are experienced. Joy, generosity, jealousy and greed. So even lust is, at the level of, below navel, but above navel, on the position of stomach is where even the greed is there. And remember, lust, anger and greed are the three gates to hell. So we can even control that by focusing in devotional service and being joyful all the time and having a positive energy flow, not the negative energy flow. Just because the chakra is open, we want to encourage positive energy flow, and that choice is up to us. So we are accountable for this, the choices we make, right? And then comes our heart. At heart, so again, we already went through, at the bottom is earth, water, fire, air. Yes, our heart, it has Anahat chakra, which is unstruck sound. Ahat is, sound. Anahat, unstruck. So striking is ahat, right? Some kind of, जब कोई आहट होती है किसी के पाँव की चलने की, तो anahat is not that, unstruck. So this is at the heart space. And air is known to what is the sensation that it produces? Touch, right? So this touch. So again, all kind of sensations that we get, feelings that we get, which is like love, hatred, and fear. So it is at the heart that we feel fear. So this chakra, when properly opened and the air is flowing, so again the element is air at the heart space, and this chakra enables us to situate ourselves in a loving relationship, in a fearful relationship. All these feeling and willing and all these feelings, they arise in the heart. And then comes the chakra at the Vishuddhi chakra, which is on our throat. So this Vishuddhi chakra is like Vishuddhi, which is complete purification. So it is on this, space on ether. So again, the element is ether or space, and Shabda Ke Paurisham ratio. So in space, sound appears. So that's why our sound appears through the throat, right? The space causes the sound vibrations to appear. And when we hear someone, from their tone we can understand, is the person, upset? Is he expressing grief? Is he sad? Is he expressing gratitude? We can understand all these different moods through the hearts as they are arising in the form of sound. We can understand those. So these are the qualities we can understand just by hearing the tone, the way someone is speaking, how they are speaking. So this gratefulness that they are feeling comes from, so I'm talking about the positive energy. So this gratefulness, this pleasing sound, sweet ways of expressing ourselves, for the benefit of others, they comes through the sound vibration. And then comes the chakra, which is Agya chakra. Now Agya sometimes means permission, but here the contrast is Aja, which means order or command, and Gya means knowledge. So this is, an Agya chakra, which is between the two eyebrows, right here in this particular region. And the element for this chakra is light. And Lord Shiva, he has this chakra, so when he opens his third eye, the light is so strong that it causes all the planets, except for the Satyaloka, to just get devoured in fire of the light that is there. So this is the third eye, the location of third eye, which is the space between the eyebrows. And it was Lord Brahma, when he became angry at the Chaturkumaras, and he became angry, and that's where Lord Rudra appeared from the middle of his eyebrows, the space from third eye location, and the anger arises through there. Also awareness, alertness, sometimes people say intuition, the sixth sense is in this chakra, so the positivity. So again, devotees, they are very much aware of the surrounding, and as Hamsas, they only seek to serve the Lordship. All the endeavors with mind, body and speech are there to please the Lordship. And then comes the topmost chakra, the crown chakra, which is the source of all transcendental bliss, all joy. It also refers to as Sahasrara. Sahasrara chakra, Sahasra means 1,000 petal, right? So this reminds us of Sudarshan chakra. So again, it has 1,000 spokes, just like Sudarshan has 1,000 petals. And its element is not of this material universe, it is spiritual. So it's transcendental, and it is situated at the top of the head, the soft palate, and the qualities are bliss. So from material perspective, if people engage, they feel the bliss in this material life, which is like spark in the dark. But the spiritual bliss by engaging in devotional service is like standing in the sunlight. Krishna Surya Sama Maya He Andhakara Jaha Krishna Taha Nahi Maya Radhikara. So such a devotee is able to constantly serve the Lordship, and it's not a spark in the dark, because a yogi has to perform, but only for a moment they get this place. But a devotee is constantly bliss, and so he is Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. He is always rejoicing, he is always transcending the three modes of material nature, because all his actions are dovetailing, pleasing Lord Shri Krishna. So when you can have a spiritual consciousness, why have material experience? Have spiritual experience, and spiritualize your body, spiritualize your memory, spiritualize your intelligence, spiritualize your senses, and thus you can easily overcome all fear and become Prasannatma. So Lord Kapila is explaining all these Sankhya Yoga practices. And as Lord Krishna says, Yogi Nam api sarvesham mat gate nantaratmana shaddavan bhajate yo mam same yukta tamo mata. So whoever is engaged in his devotional service and Lord's devotional service, constantly meditating on him, surrendering everything to please Lord Shri Krishna. All mind, body and speech, all words are dovetailed in pleasing Lord Shri Krishna and glorification of Lord Shri Krishna is the best of the yogis. And this process simply starts with the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now there is one very interesting thing. Sometimes people say, why should we chant? Right? They are, after hearing all the glories also, they are like, I want an immediate benefit. What are the benefits of chanting? So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he also said that we should chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. It's the easiest process, because in Satyuga one could perform austerities for tens of thousands of years and can attain perfection. We don't have such long life. Well, in Treta Yuga one can perform fire oblations because cleanliness was still there, austerity diminished. But with cleanliness you could perform the fire sacrifice and attain perfection, but that would take thousands of years. We don't have such a long life. Well, in Dwapar Yuga, Lord appears so we can serve him, his lotus feet. Well, that yuga is gone. So again, that mercy aspect was still there. By being and going on pilgrimage, people could attain perfection. Now, Narottam Das Thakur says in this Kali age, there are so many pandas. He actually warns us, thinking of the future, what's going to happen, that they are constantly looking to cheat people. So Srila Narottam Das Thakur, he says, devotees don't even have to go on pilgrimage. They can directly perform devotional service where they are situated. So we can establish the deities at our home in a nice mandir, and we can serve them and engage in devotional service right where we are. In this pandemic times, that is the practical way of engaging in devotional service and advancing your spiritual life. And this Kali age, Kalo Tad Hari Kirtanat, in this Kali age, just by performing the glorification of the holy name, by chanting the holy name, one can attain perfection. But then there are some people, they are saying, what are the immediate benefits? Then in Shiksha Ashtaka, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so there are 8 verses, right? So again, these 8 verses are called Shiksha Ashtaka. Ashtaka refers to 8. And these verses reveal amazing knowledge to us. And the first one has the 7 blessings. So what's the first verse? It's also given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, these verses. Cheto darpana marjanam bhava maha davagni nirvapanam sheyah kairava chandrika vitaranam vidya vadhu jivanam anandam buddhivardhanam pratipadam purnamrita swadanam sarvatma snapnam param vijayate Shri Krishna sankirtanam. So this verse is also given in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya Leela, chapter 20, verse 12. And Devi, can we place the link? Hare Krishna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is saying, Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. So let there be all victory for the chanting of the holy name of Lord Shri Krishna. Whose name? Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. Kirtanam is glorification, right? So again, chanting of the holy name. And so what is the first blessing? Cheto darpana machanam. So it causes the cleansing of the heart. And then bhava mahadavagni nirvapanam. So it stops the miseries of this blazing fire of material existence. So bhava mahadavagni. So it's not davagni, it's like mahadavagni. It's a great fire, blazing fire of this material existence. And Nirvapanam, Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. So it is like the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus of good fortune for all living entities. Shreya Kairava Chandrika Vitaranam. Chandrika is the moonlight, that the white lotus when it opens up, when the moon shines. So Kaumudika lotus, it opens up at night and it spreads the moonlight. It reflects through its petals. So it is like that waxing moon. So the moon is increasing. So the moon shine is like it's advancing. Shukla Paksh mein hota hai. Currently it's Shukla Paksh. So the moon goes from Amavasya to Purnima. So in this way, it spreads the good fortune for all living entities. And then the fourth one is Vidya Vadhu Jivanam. So it is the life and soul of all education. Vidya Vadhu. So referred to as a bride, right? And it is the soul. What is the life and soul of this Vadhu of all knowledge? Is the chanting of the holy name. And then Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. So it is like expansion of the blissful ocean of transcendental life. Anandam Buddhi. So again, Buddhi means again Vardhanam. So it is an ocean of transcendental bliss. Then Vardhanam is like overflowing. So can you imagine? We have seen overflowing of a lake, overflowing of a river. But can you imagine overflowing of an ocean? That is overflowing with so much transcendental bliss. And not just a normal ocean of salt water or milk, but this is of transcendental bliss. Anandam. So it's Ananda, transcendental bliss, with the Vardhanam. And comes number 6 is Pratipadam Purnamrita Swadanam. That at every step you get the full taste, full nectar at every step. It's not like you get 50% here and the next step you get 50%. No, at every step one can taste the full nectar of this bliss. So enables one to step the nectar of Lord's devotion. Means again, chanting of the holy name will give the transcendental bliss, full nectar one can experience. And Shreya Kairav Chandrika. So again, that is the 7th one, enables one. So what's the first one? Cheto Darpanamajam, cleanses the dust on the mirror of the heart. Second is stops the misery of blazing fire of material existence. Third is it's like the waxing moon that spreads the white lotus, right, of good fortune for all living entities. Fourth is it is the life and soul of all education, Vidya Vadhu. So all education is in the form of a bride, and her Jivan is her husband, right? So the chanting of the holy name is the husband. So that has been referred. And then fifth is the chanting of the holy name of Krishna expands the blissful ocean of transcendental bliss, Anandam Buddhi Vardhanam. And then the sixth one is it gives the cooling effect to everyone. So, and seventh one is it enables one to taste bliss, the full nectar at every step. So these are the 7 blessings he starts, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals to us that by engaging in the chanting of the holy name, by engaging in devotional service, we can attain perfection, we can attain fearlessness, we can become prasannatma, we can at a Brahma-bhuta state, simply by taking to the chanting of the holy name. Param Vrijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories, all victories to the chanting of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear devotees, this is where this chapter ends. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Bhagavad ki jai. Hare Krishna, आप सबका स्वागत है. अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय.
हरे कृष्णा डियर व्यूअर्स, हरि बोल. सो प्रभु जी ने फियरलेसनेस पे जो आज इम्पोर्टेंट लेसन्स दिए, वी होप इट विल बेनिफिट एवरीवन. और इसी के साथ इफ देयर आर एनी क्वेश्चंस यू मे प्रेजेंट देम नाउ. प्रभु जी प्लान्स टू डू a short कीर्तन सेशन इन द नेक्स्ट लाइव. ये लाइव को भी हम डिस्कनेक्ट कर देंगे और उसके बाद दूसरा लाइव करेंगे जिसमें प्रभु जी थोड़ा सा कीर्तन करेंगे. आज मोहिनी एकादशी ऑब्जर्व की जा रही है मैनी कंट्रीज़ में, तो आशा है आप सभी ने कल जो मोहिनी एकादशी इन जनरल एकादशी पर हमने जो कीर्तन एंड कृष्ण कथा प्रोग्राम किया था उसकी रिकॉर्डिंग को वॉच करके आपने बेनिफिट लिया होगा और अपनी एकादशी और भी डिवोशन के साथ आप ऑब्जर्व कर रहे होंगे. गीता जी, निधि जी, थैंक यू सो मच फॉर योर काइंड पार्टिसिपेशन. कमल जी, वरुण जी एंड निधि जी ने प्रभु जी काफ़ी ब्यूटीफुली सारे आपके लेक्चर्स के जो पॉइंट थे समराइज करके प्रेजेंट किए थे बीच में. सो उनका खास धन्यवाद. और निशांत बोलर जी, कमल पटेल जी और बहुत सारे व्यूअर्स, आपने अपनी ग्रीटिंग्स और अपने कमेंट्स द्वारा जो पार्टिसिपेशन किया है, आप सभी का बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद. सो यस गीता जी, हम अभी जब डिस्कनेक्ट करेंगे उसके बाद थोड़ी देर में ही कीर्तन का नेक्स्ट लाइव होगा. So, Prabhuji, please go ahead and end the session.
गणता श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय, शिला भगवत्पाद की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णववृंद की जय, निताय गो प्रेमानंदे, हरि हरि बोल। ओम तत्सत। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna.